the Department of Higher Education and Training is hosting the 7th annual Studentpreneurs Indaba and the 8th Biennial Entrepreneurship Development in Higher Education, Lekgotla. The event seeks to highlight how young entrepreneurs are leading solutions in fields such as the green and the blue economy, in digital innovation, as well as rural and township entrepreneurship. They're also focusing on funding for startups. For more on this, we're joined this afternoon by Dr Edwell Gumbo, Director of Entrepreneurship at University South Africa. Doctor, welcome to Africa in Business. Good to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, Thami, and good afternoon to your listeners.
I wonder what you think, Doctor, when you are hearing the type of discussions that are taking place, when you look at the type of innovation that's coming out from the young people. If you could just let us into your thoughts, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, thank you. I think what goes through my mind is all about hope. There is hope. There's amazing innovations that are coming from our youngsters, university students. You know, they are not just sitting by and watching and listening to all the bad news that we are seeing in terms of the decay that is happening in society, but they are lifting their hands to say, you know what, we've got solutions that can deal with the challenges of youth unemployment that, you know, between 15 to 34 ages, we have it topping 60% now. And the young people are saying, we've got the solutions. Besides being university students or alumni, we don't want to join the queues of the job seekers, but we want to be job creators. And as I said, it gives me hope, you know, it energizes me. And if you engage with them, you talk to them, you can actually see, you know, that hope, that, you know, that flicker of hope that one has. And there is hope. For the country, there is hope for the continent, and that hope is coming from the young people.
From the young people themselves. Can you perhaps highlight some of the success stories to date that you've seen, some of the innovations that have come from the young people?
Yeah, thank you. So let me just focus maybe on one, looking at the commercialization of indigenous knowledge systems. Firstly, as a people, as a continent, there are practices that we had, and like look at maybe the cosmetic industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and these students, researchers, innovators now have been able to bring science to that, to understand the background of that, like some of the medicinal herbs, you know, do it at a research level, probe research, find out what it does, and then take it on a journey of commercialization to say, let's commercialize our indigenous knowledge systems, because we, as a people, we had systems that worked, we had knowledge and science knowledge. And what do these students have? They have access to knowledge at universities, because they are university students, and they are using that knowledge to actually create businesses for the future. Pharmaceutical industries, for example, if I give an example of a young man, Emmanuel Kiyonga from Sifako Mahato Health Sciences University, who was our Studentpreneurs like the winner for last year, where he has actually come up with a medication for cancer patients, which was actually one of the first patent for Sifako Mahato Health Sciences Universities. So when you look at that, it's not just coming from anywhere, but it's founded on research. It's based on research. Him being a pharmacy student, you know, he used his research to actually come up with a medication that will help cancer patients, and founded at SMU, based in Harankua. And when you look at that, you say, you know, there is hope. And there's quite many others I can mention.
And as you mentioned, Doctor, it's really all about looking at what the current challenges are and then finding solutions for those challenges. If we look at the theme this year, it's focusing on how African universities can nurture these entrepreneurial ecosystems that actually do empower students, that give them the tools and the ability to really stretch their imagination and their creativity as well as their academic muscles. But looking more specifically at universities themselves in South Africa, what are they doing to nurture that entrepreneurial spirit of young people in various institutions of higher learning?
No, thank you so much. So firstly, the program, Entrepreneurship Development in Higher Education, which is a program of Department of Higher Education and Training located within USAf, USAf being representative organization for all the 26 public universities. So what it seeks to do, it has three focus areas. The first focus area is how do you stimulate, enable, and drive student entrepreneurship. The second focus area being how do you then support the academics, embed entrepreneurship into the teaching, learning, and research, to say in whatever field that they are researching, you need to embed entrepreneurial competencies and attribute. And the third focus area, then it looks at the institution, the university itself. Traditionally, universities were places of teaching, learning, and research. And we are saying into that, and that's what the program is actually doing and driving. Our universities are now entrepreneurial ecosystems that while you have access to knowledge, that is being generated by these students, by these researchers at universities, we say let that knowledge be generated in an ecosystem that pursues and promotes entrepreneurship, that talks to the policies that universities have that will enable and support entrepreneurship, where entrepreneurship is not seen now as a periphery activity or as something that you do on the side.
Right.
Yes, these students are focusing on their academics, but entrepreneurship becomes one of those graduate attributes that we want our students, by the time they graduate, to have these attributes. They can become employed. There's nothing wrong with that. Some will start businesses, and we are saying sometimes they don't even need to graduate before they start a business. They can start running their business while still students.
And you see, Doctor, that a lot of young people who actually start early with innovation are the ones that are most likely to succeed. It also gives you the ability to be pliable and to adapt to whatever environment you may find yourself in post-graduation. But where does the private sector fit into this entire matrix of empowering young people through their entrepreneurial journey? You've spoken about the institutions of higher learning. You've spoken about the Department of Higher Education. Let's focus now on the private sector.
No, thank you so much. So firstly, let me just talk about even the universities themselves, that we see the universities being spaces of experimentation, of piloting, of trialing and testing. And to be able to do that, then one needs resources. Our universities are public institutions. The budget is tight. And the private sector then has a responsibility to partner with the universities to provide that early seed funding for the development of these innovations or for the commercialization of that research. Some of that research is actually even at an asset level, where the innovator, the student, the entrepreneur has an asset that they've created through their research, which is in the form of a patent. It can be IP. And this is where at our universities, we've got the technology transfer officers. Now, to be able to translate that, one needs funding. And this is where private sector would come in. Like, for example, the young man that I mentioned who has created a drug for cancer patients, for example, to take it right through the clinical testing and the testing and the approval. It's a journey that will take a couple of years, a few years, and one needs funding to be able to go through that.
Dr.
You can
Gumbo,
go to even...
Dr.
Yes.
Gumbo, we unfortunately will have to leave it at that for this afternoon, but I think point really, really well made, and congratulations, I must say, on the amazing work that's coming out of our universities and the caliber of young people that are being churned out with that entrepreneurial spirit. We thank you for your input, Dr. Gumbo.
No, thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. That's Dr. Edwell Gumbo. He's the Director of Entrepreneurship at Universities South Africa.
Es-tu préoccupé par quelque chose? Es-tu passionné par